Howdy, Stief here, the long-haired freaky dude, and today I'm going to review the ancient Grecian tragedy, Antigone, by playwright Sophocles. This copy is translated into prose by Richard C. Jebb. I recommend prose where I can, but that's for another video. Antigone is a tragedy, so by its very nature, it's tragic. Naturally, that's something one could assume, a tragedy being tragic, but after reading the tragedy Oedipus at Colonus, I began asking myself what tragedy really means. But this is the epitome of tragic. I mean, in the end, there's nothing at all. But hey, they started out with nothing, they ended up with nothing. What have they lost? Nothing! At least the tragedy here isn't in having sex with your mother, or killing your father in a bout of "you drove my horse off the road rage." I'm looking at you, Oedipus. But I bet you aren't looking at me. I'm sorry to disappoint you, but that is not the tragedy of this play. Anywho, this is Antigone. It's the classic story of siblings and their love, or rather, lack thereof, for each other. The events in Antigone follow those of Oedipus the King and Oedipus at Colonus by Sophocles, and directly follow those of Seven Against Thebes by Aeschylus. I suggest at least reading Seven Against Thebes before reading this play so that you can develop some historical context. Since everyone at the time knew the tales, fables, myths, histories told by these playwrights, they put very little time into developing historical context. Everyone knew it, there was no need for it. So blasphemous non-ancient Grecians such as ourselves must resort to using context from other stories for this knowledge. So essentially we have this town of Thebes. The Greek Thebes, not the Egyptian one. It was ruled by Oedipus, whose woes I won't even begin to explain. But anyways, he's left town and put his twin sons in charge, Eteocles and Polynices. But having two people in charge with equal power never works out well. Look at the Roman triumvirate. It's three people, but that's a similar concept as two people, right? Anyways, Eteocles ends up on top, Polynices is banished from the town. But in the classic nature of ancients, revenge is a must. So he leads an attack against the city of Thebes. And, of course, as we are told in the beginning of Antigone by two prophets, or as we found out in Seven Against Thebes, in classic Oedipuscian fate, the two brothers end up accidentally killing each other to death. But does it end there? No, you silly fool! This is but the beginning of the play. You didn't think I was going to spoil it, did you? The focus of this play is not the battle. That's what Seven Against Thebes is about. But rather how to bury the bodies of the dead brothers. Naturally, the new guy in charge wants to be a bona fide butt wipe and only honor the burial of one brother, leaving the other to the dogs. See, this doesn't bode well with one of the brother's two sisters, Antigone. That name should sound familiar by now. She is, after all, the person this play is named after. The other sister is Ismene. We'll get to her later. Antigone is a family woman. She hates the fighting betwixt everyone, cared for her pitiful father, and now she wants to see proper burial of both brothers. And that's what this play is about, obtaining those burial rights for Polynices. And boy, does she fight tooth and nail. You see, people who didn't get their proper burial rights wouldn't be sent to Hades. Not a bad place, as people are led to believe. Which meant she wouldn't have been able to reacquaint with her brother in death. So this was important to her. I find her actions in the end curious, however. Concerning the Antigone we had been introduced to earlier, it just didn't seem like her. I mean, I didn't expect Sophocles to go all Stephen King here, but I suppose her will was not from sheer badassery, but rather in getting her brother those rights. In the end, I must say that I think this is the saddest of the tragedies I've read so far. I imagine seeing this actually performed could bring some to tears, just like the new Jurassic World. Okay, I have a soft spot for dinosaurs, alright. The character of Antigone is one which I deeply respected. She cared about her family, all of her family, so she claimed, and she was willing to put everything on the line for the rest of her family. Definitely one of the most selfless Greek characters I've encountered so far. By their nature, women in Greek plays tend to be more on the selfless side, more so than men anyway, unless that certain woman is Clytemnestra, that bastard. Anywho, there is one instance near the middle of the play where Antigone is in a scuffle with her sister Ismene, which almost seems to make Antigone a bit hypocritical. She essentially offs her sister, but hey, it only shows that she's human and has those flaws. And not to mention Ismene, that little twit had it coming. Perhaps putting the culture of the time into consideration, it's possible the sisters might not have been regarded as family, at least not in the sense in which it had been translated. So far, Antigone is one of my favorite Greek protagonists. She's a very strong-willed character that has her heart set on something and won't stop until she's done. She is not fighting for herself, she is fighting for others. Well, I guess you could say she is essentially fighting for herself at the root, wanting to reacquaint with her brother in the end. So I guess, but I mean, we could associate that with pretty much any action, that sort of arrogance. Anyway, she wouldn't stop until she's done, and I admire that kind of grit. This is definitely one of the first plays I'd read in the original. This is definitely one of the first plays I would read in the original language if I, by some strange turn of events, managed to learn ancient Greek. Who knows? Maybe I'll get knocked up or knocked out and find myself speaking Greek afterwards. Alright, that, my friends, is my review of the wonderful world of Antigone. I encourage you to read it, and I implore you to enjoy it. And just in case you want more Grecian fun, I've got reviews of Oedipus the King, Oedipus at Calydus, 7 Against Thebes, all right here. Whoa, what do you know? Now I'm just going to read a bit of this prosy translation here so you can see into the tongue of Richard C. Jebb. Antigone. Ismene. Sister, mine own dear sister, knowest thou what ill there is, of all bequeathed by Oedipus, that Zeus fulfills not for us twain while we live? Nothing painful is there, nothing fraught with ruin, no shame, no dishonor that I have not seen in thy woes and mine. And now, what new edict is this of which they tell, that our captain hath just published to all Thebes? Knowest thou aught? Hast thou heard? Or is it hidden from thee that our friends are threatened with the doom of our foes? Ismene. No word of friends, Antigone, gladsome or painful, hath come to me, since we two sisters were bereft of brothers twain, killed in one day by a twofold blow. And since in the last night the Argive host hath fled, I know no more whether my fortune be brighter or more grievous. Antigone. I knew it well, and therefore sought to bring thee beyond the gates of the court, that thou might hear alone. Ismene. What is it? 'Tis plain that thou art brooding on some dark tidings. Antigone. What hath not Cretan destined our brothers? The one to honoured burial, the other to unmarried shame. Eteocles, they say, with due observance of right and custom, he hath laid in the earth for his honour among the dead below. But the hapless corpse of Polynices, as rumour saith, it hath been published to the town that none shall entomb him or mourn, but leave unwept, unsepulchred, a welcome store for the birds as they empty him to feast on a will. Okay. That's Antigone by Sophocles. Enjoy. Thanks for watching. Have a good day. Farewell. Good